Hi, how are you today on this beautiful, beautiful Monday? It is gorgeous here in Atlanta. We've got a special treat for you today. We have a guest viewer, a viewer guest. Let me show you her beautiful picture. Her name is Robbie Pink, and she is, here we are, thank you, Lord. Here she is. Isn't she gorgeous? Woo! Robbie had some questions about she's creating or updating her website, and she had several excellent questions that it seemed just ridiculous not to get online, hop online, let her be a guest if she was interested, and she was. Hey, Robbie, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm very good. Robbie's only joining us by audio, but that's all right because we're going to roll right along with it. She got stumped on several questions and then sent me a list of them. And you can do the same thing when an effort spirit moves you. We're going to talk about what the title of today's show is New Website Got You Stumped. Today is Robbie's day. I'm Patricia Durkin, the Christian Message Coach, and this is Marketers on a Mission, a live show for every Christian with an idea for a book, an online course, or ministry. We show you not only the various online tools you need to market your message online, but also the secrets and the strategies to use them so you can be successful as a marketer on a mission for Christ. So what we've done, Robbie and I hooked up together. She's going to read the question that she has, one of the next questions in line, and then I'm going to come on screen. It may not be smooth, but we're going to give it a go, and by the end of it, it'll be great. Robbie, are you ready with your first question?
I'm ready.
Hit me with
it. Okay. I want to know how I can write a catchy header. If it really matters, does it draw the people in, or is it just perception that it draws people in?
And by a header, do you mean a tagline or what might be called a slogan or what might be called a unique selling proposition, Robbie?
Right, that plus your logo. Usually you have your logo with your little tagline underneath it, and that's your header across your website.
Yes. So what I have an answer for you, and it's actually to reference you to another Facebook Live show that I've already created way back when. And I'm going to send you the link. There's a couple of this answer, and another answer. It applies to both. I'm going to include the link to that show as a resource when we get finished with this broadcast. Does that be good?
That sounds great. Thank you.
You're exactly right that we want something that's visual and at the same time has some explanation of what it is that we do and who we serve, ideally. And it needs to be short. Taglines are 7 words or less. A unique selling proposition is a little bit more fleshed out. What you do is you would take your tagline, flesh it out with more, maybe make 1 or 2 or even possibly 3 very short paragraphs. But that wouldn't go under your header. What you're thinking is the more correct way, where you have a logo, so there's a visual representation of your brand, and then 3, 5, or up to 7 words of a description of it could be the results that your audience gets. It could be the product that you sell. It could be what you actually do, like your big picture. All those choices and more are up to you. Does that help for a short answer, Robbie?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And I have the link right here in front of me. I'm not sure that I'm going to be savvy enough to post it right now, so I'm going to post it afterwards, but I will not forget.
Thanks, that's no problem.
Okay. Question number 2 is,
how necessary is it for me to know coding when I'm setting up my website? Is there somewhere to learn basics? And kind of a joint question with that, are there speed minimum requirements that go with that?
There are speeds and minimum requirements. I think that's is that question number 4?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to put questions number 3 and number 4 tack those on to another Q&A Friday this Friday because they're more detailed than we have room for today.
Okay.
But to answer question number 2, how necessary it is to know coding. Oh, my. Back in the day, if you didn't know how to code, you couldn't even have a website. You probably remember those days, even if you weren't creating websites back then. Everybody had to be a specialist to be able to get online and create a website. That's not, thank the Lord Jesus, that is not the case anymore. Woo! I'm going to show you some websites. I'm going to show you 3 versions of my website here in just a moment to show you what the finished product looks like, and then the code representing all of that finished work. And then the inside of my WordPress website, the particular theme that I have chosen to use. So I'll give you a little bit of insight there. But the quick answer is that we no longer have to learn how to code. And yet that doesn't mean that we never have an occasion to need a snippet of code here or there to complete a specific task. I think that rather than investing, you or anyone, including me, rather than investing our time coding, learning how to code a website, unless we are moving toward becoming a website developer or in some way designer, developer, that is going to create custom websites exclusively without a prepackaged theme, THEME, then we don't need to invest that time. We would be much better off if we chose to concentrate on our content and join a Facebook group, perhaps, that's talking about coding. Not that that's their focus, but that they include that every once in a while, because their focus is about blogging or about something similar to blogging in that field. And when in the framework of any kind of blog, we're going to run into we need a little bit of line of code to do this one thing. So spend your time elsewhere investing it for something you're going to need that's going to reap benefits, but then also invest a little bit of time to find a blogging Facebook group. Pro Blogger, I've mentioned that resource before, and I'm going to mention it again today later and to answer another question. But Pro Blogger, and I'm going to have their website right here so you'll be able to get their URL. They have a Facebook group all about blogging. So that's my answer. You wouldn't be wasting your time, but it could be better spent elsewhere. Don't bother with learning to code. Now let me show you. Excuse me. And feel free. I get on a roll, Robbie. So you just like knock on the
That's quite all right.
interrupt me, or make sure that if you have a question and I'm finished talking, feel free to jump in and ask me, because this is not the Patricia show. Today, this is the Patricia Robbie show.
I really appreciate it too.
You're very welcome. I enjoy it so much. Now let's go to the website. Where is it, Laura? That's not it. I've lost my website. Hold on a second. Hold on, it couldn't have gone far. Help me, Laura, please. I wanted to show you, why is that not showing up? It's not even showing up, and I don't understand why. That's what that's all about. So let me go about it a different way. Let me open up another website browser, see if we can work around it. And I'm not sure that this is what I want, but let's see what we can find out. Got a lot of stuff on the screen all of a sudden. It's all, here we are. Now, I'm not 100% sure that our audience can see my website. Can you see it, Robbie?
I can see it, yes.
Okay, all right, so this is my homepage, and I have a little bit of information here. It's not a long homepage. It's a typical length. Now, next screen, this is what it looks like if I were to code it.
Wow.
And you have to know what all these symbols mean, all of these links, all these codes, all these terms. And if there's one semicolon in place of a colon, the whole thing is kaput. This makes people crazy in the head. If you ever see
I can
anybody,
imagine.
if you
Just
ever
looking
see
at it's making me crazy.
looking at it, isn't it? It's so convoluted, isn't it? And it's so like, and I'm visually oriented, so for me, this is just line after line after line of text uh, that's mostly gobbledygook. That's of no value to me whatsoever. Um, so I wanted you to see that this is the back side, the coding side of this page here, my home page. Now, until WordPress came on into the world, was developed and became was freely offered, then this was the only option that we had. There were a few other options, but this was basically the main avenue that we used to create a website. We don't want to do this anymore, and thank the Lord Jesus that not only has WordPress created a platform, an online platform for for websites across the world, really, that's not an exaggeration. Also, developers, website theme developers, that's the design, people who make the design. So many pictures can go in this area. These are the different layouts that you can have in this page. Some are very, very basic, some are not yet, but some are very, very complex. But the designers, the theme designers, they risk their product when we purchase it or sign up for it if it's free. Don't get a free website design, please. Don't choose a free theme for your website. Please, please, please. It's not safe. When we purchase, even if it's for a small amount of money, $29 up to hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars for a premium, what's called a premium website theme. Then what we get here is the back end. So let me show you. Here's the home page. This is what a viewer would see, a stranger falling upon my website would see. Now, if I was to do this by hand to get that same result, this is what I would have to do. But instead, I use this. This is the back end, the WordPress side of my premium WordPress theme called Optimized Press. That's the one I've chosen to use. And in here, this is somewhat drag and drop. I still have the same, see how it gives me a portion to have a row, and I can choose, there's 3 rows, 3 columns here. There's a spacer here. This one didn't need it. We're not going to go over this exhaustively. But this is much, much easier than any other it becomes easier and easier as each year goes by. Website themes become more friendly, easier to deal with, and some are more specialized, and that's all okay. Then you just need somebody to help you. Hey, we got some peoples here. We got some peoples. Hey, Catherine. Hey, Dave. Jan. Hey, Janice. So good to see everybody. Melissa, so good to see you. So this is what we can do when we don't need to use coding. Spend your time in discovering and choosing a premium theme exclusively created for WordPress, and then learn that theme inside and out, and you'll be much, much better off. And then if you need a little piece of coding, just go online and find it. Now let me get off of this screen because it's doing the cascading thing. All right, where are we? We're on question number 3, question number 4.
Right.
We're going to move to Friday. Let's give people a hint as to what those questions are, Robbie, so they'll know to make sure and tune in with us on Friday.
Okay, question 3 and 4, or just question 4? I'm sorry.
Both.
Okay. Well, in question 3, I wanted to know what I should look for in a website host and the prices that are appropriate and reasonable. And on question 4, I was asking about speed, whether there are minimum requirements, and does it really matter?
Yes. And I have the answers for both of those. And there's 2 other questions further down in our list today. We started, for those who are viewing us, we started with 12, and I reduced that to 8. Well, number 1, because there's not enough time to cover 12, but we don't want to forget the other remaining 4. We're going to tack them on. That may be the focal point of Q&A Friday, because they're excellent questions that need to be answered, and they are a little bit more complex than some of the other 8 questions. So we're going to do it that way. All right, Ms. Robbie, what's question number 5?
Is a .com, .net, or is there another dot something that is better?
Well, let me tell you. When You know, when your preacher has a hot button and somebody asks a question or makes a comment, and you just see that preacher or that Sunday school teacher or a best friend, you see their hot button. The person who's speaking doesn't even know they just pressed a hot button. But everybody around them's like, oh, hot button, hot button. This is one of mine. And I've got an answer for you that's both short and the reference to another Facebook Live show that I did back in the late March. And I want to see that link as well. It's going to be as a resource. 6 questions to answer before purchasing a domain name. That walks you through the process of understanding where you need to check. There are several places online that we need to check before we invest our money. We want to look at social media. We want to see what other people are doing out there that's similar to that domain name. We want to see there are several other places to check. And there's one website that I mentioned in that training on March the 28th that you can look over this one website and you can see all the social media and all the other places that you can see online that have that name or that version of that name. And really what they're doing is they're telling you that domain name is free to use here and here and here and here. So you can, at a glance, you can discover what would be a good or poor or maybe a better domain name before you purchase, because we're always going to find out sooner or later. If we get a domain name that many other people are using or something very, very, they can't use it, but they're using it very, very similar to the domain name that we want to purchase, and then they also use that version or some version of it online in social media and other sources, other places, we will find out, but by then we will have invested our time and money to purchase the domain name and then build a website on that. And another short answer is also that .com is hands down the version that we want. Other people use .net, .org, .info, and I'm not suggesting that those are not good. I'm suggesting that .com is still and always has been. At some point it may be the leader. It may not be. It may be moved aside sometime when we have so many other extensions that are popular. But here's the test. Let's say you're standing at a bus stop or you're on a radio show. You're being interviewed and somebody says, well, the host says, another passenger asks you on the bus, or a host of the radio show or the podcast says, well, now, before we go, tell me your website. And whatever it is that you say with the appropriate extension, .net, .info, .org, .me, .us, .au, what are they going to hear?
.com.
.com. And if you didn't have something written down, a business card, which we'll get to later because I love that question too. If you don't have a business card to hand them, they're going to type in to reference. For them to reference when they want to look you up online, they're going to type in .com. So another thing to consider is, let's say that you're using .net version of your domain name and something else is really popular is using the .com version. All your efforts are going to be funneling activity to the .com domain name. And that's going to make you just sick after a period of time. All right, question number 6, please.
What ratio of personal to content should there be, and does it really matter?
I believe that it does matter, but there's no magic formula, and I've never seen one in over 20 years of observing and watching and learning online marketing. There aren't any magic formulas, but I can give you my best advice. Serve your readers. Serve your readers. And when absolutely necessary, say something about yourself. That single sentence is a good guideline. Do everything that you can to serve them, and whatever it is that you're doing in social media or on your website or in your free resources, those lead magnets that we've been talking about, do everything you can focused on them, answering their questions, solving their problems, encouraging them, inspiring them with your message. And we talked the other day about, even if you don't yet know exactly what your message is, you can start with the good news. You can start with your Great Commission and go from there. And then let those people come to you. Let the Holy Spirit draw them to you. And then they'll begin engaging with you and begin asking questions But always serve your readers first. And when you absolutely have to, talk about yourself. Let me see. Does that make sense, Robbie?
Yes, it does. It definitely does, especially in light of the message you had a couple of days ago about the people that come to you naturally.
Yes, yes. The Holy Spirit, offline, the Holy Spirit draws our ideal target market to us. He does the same thing online, if we are online for that to happen. Let me check and see if we have any more questions or comments, Robbie. Just a second, please.
Okay.
Let's see. If anybody, we do not currently have any new questions or comments, but anybody here watching us, please feel free. Join us. Join the conversation. Let's see. Let me go back to where we were. All right. Now, we're on question number 7. Is that right?
Yes.
What is it?
How often should I post, or alternately, how many posts per day?
Let me make sure I haven't left anything out that I intended to. Oh, yes. Thank you, Lord. Okay. So, Darren, whose name just Rouse, Darren Rouse, Rowse, from ProBlogger. He has a free resource I want to tell you about in just a little bit. The answer to your question is there's no set time, but let me give you a little bit of history here. Early on, way back when, content was so rare that people would begin following people and paying attention to what they said, and people could actually become leaders in the online space, even if they weren't particularly special or their content wasn't fantastic, simply because they were consistently putting out content. And content was so rare, and this is decades ago, okay? Content was so rare that even if you just dared to get online and present something, then you could build your audience that way. And I'm not suggesting that that was a wrong way to do it, but times have changed. Now we're inundated with content, right?
Right.
You're not swimming with content, Robbie, in your inbox?
Yes.
We just wanted to stop, don't we? Excuse me. So what we want to do now is we want to offer quality content. And I would suggest that 2 to 4 posts per month. So one every other week or one a week for a period of time. Get your feet wet. Get that solid foundation. Don't go. I wouldn't suggest, let me back that up. I would suggest not prolonging. Don't leave your audience hanging more than 2 weeks. Don't leave us not 2 weeks and 3 weeks and 4 weeks. And next thing you know, they're gone. Poof, they're gone. Excuse me. Now, there are some websites that really must post not only every day, but multiple times a day. We don't fall in these categories. These are news sites, stock market sites, people like that, companies and organizations like that. There's not a return on your effort if you post. A regular person posts multiple times a day or multiple times a week. There used to be, but those days are gone. So take your time, create one blog post that's quality, that really hits home, really touches your target market, serves them, answers a question, helps them overcome a problem, meet a challenge, and then then post that, cross-post that to your social media accounts, and let them and the Holy Spirit organically come together and find you online. Now, one other thing before we leave this question. This is not talking about SEO. SEO, search engine optimization, is a vital part of a growing website or a blog, because it actually goes in before you even write anything, before you write an article or a blog post. You actually go and find out what people are looking for online, and then you create within the framework of your topic, and then you create content that matches the questions that they're asking in the phraseology that they're asking it. Now, what happens when you do that? Woo, this is sweet, sweet, sweet. They go to Google any day of the week or the month, and they type in how to lose 5 pounds in 10 days or how to lose 10 pounds in 5 days. If you've written a great article and you've used the same phraseology that they have and as they formed their question, and if yours is the better than anyone else's on the same topic, then you're going to be at the very top of the search results for Google or Bing or Yahoo. The reader then is going to click on your link versus anybody else's link, or your link first instead of anybody else's. This is called organic traffic, which is beyond the scope of this show. It may become a part of the show some other time in the future, but it's certainly not where we are today. But so I want you to know that you can create 2, 3, or 4 really good blog posts a month, and you don't even have to keep that schedule, but that's my suggestion. No more than 2 weeks apart between blog posts. And at some point in time, whether I help you or you find out on your own, it's a very difficult and complex topic. We need to address SEO. That will change from you having to drive people and find people and ask them to come to your website to them naturally finding your website because they've Googled something into the Google machine. They've typed something in, and Google forwards them to your website. So it's a beautiful symbiotic relationship, but like every beautiful symbiotic relationship, it's complex. It's complex. All right, how are we doing? Are you there?
I'm here.
I didn't lose you, did I? Would you read the 9th and the 10th questions, Robbie? Because these are the remaining 2 questions that we're going to move over to Q&A Friday in 4 days.
Okay. Is it ever appropriate to solicit donations, such as through something like Patreon? And if so, what's the best or most appropriate way to implement it? And should I answer every single serious non-spam comment? Or does limiting comment answers create a sense of exclusiveness for people? Sorry about that. Or does it just make them angry?
And used to, again, back in the day, we're moving this, but I'm going to answer this tiny little piece. Back in the day, blog post comments were the only way that people had to create community online. There was no Facebook. There was no Facebook group. There were no Facebook groups. There weren't even at that time. There weren't even behind the scenes forums. There wasn't anything like that. You were just lucky and fortunate to have a website. So at that point in time, that did create a sense of exclusivity and community. It's far and away not as important as it used to be, and yet it's not unimportant. I'll talk more about that on Friday. All right, question number 11.
Okay. Are there classes that are helpful for teaching about content?
I'm so glad you asked that question because I've got something to show you. Change my screen. Are you having a good time, Robbie?
Yes, I am. I'm learning. Yeah. I appreciate that.
I'm so glad. Okay, this is Darren Rouse, the man I was talking to you about before. He is the creator and the head chief at ProBlogger. Can you see this screen?
Yes, ma'am, I can.
Look on here where it sees that. You remember last week when we were talking about the color palettes?
Right.
And when we have something like a call to action button, we want that to be a unique color, right? So it'll pop.
Right.
This is how he's used his orange. Of course, it's in his logo. And at the same time, that's how he has chosen to use this here. If you'll go to his main website, you'll see start here. We want to go here to 6 months. Get 6 months of blog post ideas. Now, this is just revolutionary. Not that it's new and nobody's ever done it, but he's still doing the basics and they're still working. All right, so you'll have the opportunity to sign in and get what I'm fixing to show you. Here is a 7-page resource that is a gold mine. It is prompts. These are not headlines, even though you could use one every once in a while as a headline if you wanted to. These are prompts to spur your thinking, your creativity as you write your blog posts. And you're thinking ahead. We want to think ahead. We don't want to be posting something at 4 o'clock that we finished at 3:48. Now, our readers would not know that, but it really creates a stressful situation behind the scenes that's unnecessary. So
it sure does.
Oh, so you've experienced that, have you?
Oh, yes.
Just a little bit of thinking ahead of time would be a big help. And everybody succumbs periodically, but we don't want to live that way. And Christ doesn't call us to live in a state of franticness all the time, right?
Right.
He's a big proponent of planning without making it so important that extemporaneous and spontaneous or leave our home, leave our family. He gives us a good balance of both. So I always, whenever I show you a resource from someone else, it's already in the public arena. I never show you something behind a payment gateway. So this is something that you can get. And let me show you just a page or two. So this is month 1. And he's giving us, it's got 6 different subcategories here, 5 potential questions or statements or fill in the blanks for that particular month. And he's got 6 months here. So I'm not going to scroll through the whole thing because that makes me crazy when people do that and my head is bobbing. But I'm going to add that link as well, not the link to this. I don't want you to bypass this. Excuse me. I don't want to bypass his sign-up sequence. I'm going to send a link to his the page to create the content. All right. And let's go back one more time and see your beautiful face. You know what? I need to also check and see if we have any more questions or comments before we get too far. Gail, I don't know what you're laughing at, but I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad to see you laughing, Gail. All right, we're doing good. Still no questions or comments. If you have one, feel free to hop in and share that with us. Let's go back to Robbie's beautiful picture. And hit us with the last question, Robbie, please.
Okay. How important are business cards if you aren't actually or haven't yet started selling a product? Is there a particular formula or format to follow? And is there somewhere, I can't read the last sentence, I'm sorry.
That I would
is
suggest.
Is there somewhere to have them made?
Okay. This is another hot button for me, but just because I'm really, 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 really particular about how my everything that represents me visually looks. A single page, a website, a business card, a brochure. I sort of had a tendency to make people crazy, and I don't do it intentionally. I just care so much about it. I have such strong opinions about it, and I know how to make it look the way that I want to make it. So that's the standard that I set for myself. Also, I'm biased on this question also because I come from a marketing background, the business world background. So when I came to online marketing, it was just a natural course of events that I would bring along, create my first business card to share with to market my website. That's the background that I come from. However, even though I am biased, and I'll say straight up, I believe that business cards are very, very important for a reason, at least one reason you may be surprised about. They change our mindset. To be kicking around an idea, sort of running that past, praying about it, looking at what other people are doing, all those things are good. But when we create a business card, it's been my experience, and I've seen this happen with many other people. The minute that we create a business card and we go down the road toward that creating a business card, then we begin to see ourselves more as business leaders or ministry leaders than, well, I'm a stay-at-home mom or whatever would fill in the blank, a retiree, a college student. I'm just sort of giving it a go. There's some sense of professionalism that comes to the table with a business card, even if no one ever sees it, because it changes us inside. Do you find that to be so, Robbie?
Just listening to you now, I don't have business cards, but I have tossed the idea around, and just listening to what you're saying makes a lot of sense, because it would cause your mind to leap over that I'm just a homemaker or whatever to I'm actually doing something that's a service and that's more professional. So
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense. I hadn't looked at it that way, but that makes a lot of sense.
And it also raises the serious level, doesn't it? I'm serious
Right,
about this.
right.
That's very helpful. The other aspects are the other aspects are that to be able to have a business card at church, in the community, at the grocery store, at a conference, at a book signing, that gives us, that's most of our audience members, they're going to see us in that regard first in real life. They'll see us then in that environment, and they will expect, not because they're mean, but it's just the normal course of events. You're a business person. I'm a business person, or I want to become one. I want to talk to you about maybe working with you or buying your new book or fill in the blank with whatever it is that we offer. They come to us, and everybody in business, everybody who's serious about their business or the ministry, in real life, they have a business card. So this is, in addition to our own, taking it more seriously, our own self, it also solidifies in the other person's mind. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. There have been a few times, I'm crazy about having business cards with me. I mean, I don't take them to the swimming pool, but pretty much anywhere else, I take them. And there have been a few rare times that I've been caught without a business card, and it makes me really, it makes me crazy. What do you think, Robbie, when you are talking to somebody in real life and you're really impressed, they've got it going on. They may not be a rocket science, but they know what they're talking about on the subject that they're speaking to you about. And you ask them for a business card, and they say they don't have one. Does that not bring them down a notch in your mind?
Just a little bit. It sure does. Because there's more credibility to what they're doing if they have a business card. It shows they're taking it serious. And they want you to take it seriously also.
Yes, yes. In addition to the contact information and the visual logo and all the stuff that makes it interesting, there's just that one level that's higher or lower, depending upon not if they have a business card, because you may have a bazillion of them at the office, but do you have one with you when someone asks for one in the community? Yeah. Let's see. Oh, so as far as a resource, I do have a resource for you. We're almost finished with this episode. We've run a little bit over. Vistaprint, you've probably heard of them, Robbie.
Yes, I have.
Vistaprint, and right now I looked them up today, and they're having a site-wide sale that ends May the 6th, and it's in honoring Small Business Week. So that's cool.
Oh, that's good.
I like to design my own business cards, going back to my control issue. And I've been a closet graphic designer for decades. Even before I had a website, from way back when, I was interested in design and visual messaging. So I'm just really up there when it comes to a business card design. And I'd like to take them to my local printer rather than send them off to Vistaprint or another company that prints them out and ships them to me. That's the Vistaprint and other like-minded companies are the perfect example the perfect solution for a lot of people. They're not for me because I know more than the average bear, and I have access to graphic design programs, the knowledge of 30 plus years of studying it. And I used to work in a print shop way back when, so I know how to go into a print shop and say, I don't want you to create this. I've already created it, but I know these are the specs of the weight of paper that I want it to be created on, the color, the texture, and so forth. So I can have an educated discussion in a print shop. Whereas if you can't, you being anyone, if you can't do that, then find out if you want to use a print shop. They can create it themselves, or you can create it and forward it to them with their specs. They'll give you that shape and the format. So there's more to say about this, but because you've asked this great question, and luckily you asked it at the very last, I'm actually going to create tomorrow is Tutorial Tuesday. So I'm going to show you how to design professional business cards. Would that be interesting to you?
That would be fantastic.
We talked last week about creating your color palette, and we'll take that same concept we'll assume that a color palette has been created, and we'll do that by me pulling from my own color palette. Then I'll show you how I create a business card based on a combination of my color palette, the words I want to say, the title that I use, and the photograph that I have attached to it. Years ago, we didn't have photographs. It was abnormal to have a photograph. Now it's normal to have a photograph. So that means that if you're using half of your sheet, half of your business card for a photograph, and you don't have to, that's just my choice, then that only leaves you half of a small area to put all your text in. It can be challenging. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Now, I'm not signing off yet, but I want to ask you, do you have follow-up questions? Does anyone watching have follow-up questions or comments? Do you have any, Robbie?
I don't think so. I've been making notes as we're talking, and I think you pretty much covered all my questions.
Well,
I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. I was tickled that you asked, and then the Lord gave me the idea, hey, just invite her on and let's do a show with Robbie. And we can do the same thing with other people. So anyone who's watching, either live or on the replay, it's not a given, but if you're interested and you have multiple questions and you'd like to allow me to host you, we could do it with video. Today, Robbie couldn't connect her video, so we're just doing a picture, obviously, with Robbie's picture and my picture, but we could get online just like any other time when I interviewed Marlene Bagnall or David Winters, and we could go back and forth and have a discussion about the questions that you're asking that have got you stumped, whether it's about websites or other things. So get in touch with me privately through a direct message. If you have my email, use that. Robbie, I appreciate you being here with me today.
Thank you. I appreciate you hosting me today. I have enjoyed it very much.
Good. So, viewers, who do you know that's trying to share their message online? Perhaps they'd find these live trainings useful too. Please share this video with them and perhaps even tag them in it. So, as I mentioned earlier, tomorrow is Tutorial Tuesday. I'm going to show you how to design your next business card. So come along, 3 p.m. right here, Eastern Standard Time, and bring your friends. Until then, I pray that this show helps you become a marketer on a mission for Christ. Until then, I'm Patricia Durgan. Thanks for being here.